I make that run, it blows up. It was on ESPN, I had an in-car camera. They get to me and they pull me out, the firemen, and on camera you hear me go, "What did it run?" And they said, "We're number one." I was like, "All right." But I'm like, cuckoo, cuckoo.
What inspired you to first begin drag racing?
Well, it's a unique story. My dad raced when I was a kid, like as a hobby. So I kind of grew up around it in a small town in California. Every weekend, had to keep my grades up to go to the track and work on my dad's. But my mom worked on that car. She was like my dad's biggest helper. And my dad was the local guy that everybody came and brought their cars to. So our garage always had somebody's race car or fast car in it. So I kind of grew up that way, but never dreamed that I would be a driver, let alone multi-champion. Yeah. And kind of came up a unique way. So when I was a kid, I don't know how age-wise you are, but the Hot Wheels, the Snake and the Mongoose, do you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my idol, Dom Perdome, you fast forward, I got my license in a dragster. It's kind of a sportsman guy that got my license. The guy in a Top Fuel dragster saw me, but he did it out of his pocket. It wasn't a big sponsored car, but Dom Perdome was watching my career quietly, and I didn't know it, and he called one day and hired me to drive his funny car. So here I am, the guy that I had the pictures on my wall of calls me to go drive for him. And I didn't have to bring money, which is rare because in today's world, NASCAR and IndyCar and F1, a lot of those drivers have to bring millions to get a seat. And I didn't have to, which was another unique thing. But so I got to drive for him for almost a decade. So that was like every day pinching myself that I'm, let alone sitting next to him, but like, hanging out with Mario Andretti, hanging out with AJ Foyt, all my heroes because he was friends with them. So that was kind of my quick, very steep learning curve. And all of a sudden you're a rock star driving for the biggest name in the sport. And it just, been doing it 30-something years. My first race was here in Phoenix in a Top Fuel dragster 31 years ago. So I've been doing it professionally for over 30 years. And it's crazy to think.
How do you get up to 300 miles an hour? Like when are you allowed to be in a expensive vehicle that is saying, "Hey, go 300 miles an hour"? Like what is the steps in a vehicle to go from the junior drag to expensive, deadly consequence?
Yeah. You're supposed to work your way up. There's some drivers that just seem talented that they can jump that next division and be pretty good. It's rare. But a lot of these kids, and Maddie, who we're hiring, is one of those came up junior dragsters and then raced the super comp. It's like the 8-second, 130-mile-an-hour dragsters. You know, they go fast, but not compared to what we do. And you really should work your way up. Then you should go to a 240-mile-an-hour dragster and then get into Top Fuel. And then you're sort of used to the launch because it's 5 Gs. You know, ours are upwards of 6. So it's anything. There's only one thing on planet Earth that's more G-forces we go through, and that's a fighter pilot. Like, we go through more than space shuttle pilots.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's a lot of getting used to, but some drivers seem to have a knack. But you still, even the best of the best, and when you get into your first time a funny car or Top Fuel, you have to make like a 60-foot launch, shut it off, come back, go, quarter track, come back, go half track. And then when you think you've gotten used to the G-force and the speed, run it down 3/4 track, because then you're going to approach 300 miles an hour. Then your brain's got to get used to that. Then when you're okay with that, run it to the finish line at 320 or 330 miles an hour. Because this is all 3.8 seconds this is happening. So it's not like it's Bonneville and you've got 3 miles to sort of get used to it. We get catapulted like we're on a ship. And then you have to get the parachutes out, and that's negative 8 or 9 Gs. So a lot goes on in a short amount of time. And anybody could hold the gas down if they're brave, but the trick is the good drivers know when to let off if something's wrong. And very rare does it go perfectly.
What was it like reaching that high speed for the first time for you?
As far as speed or as far as the championship, like what?
Which one happens first? Are you approaching those speeds well before you're competing for those types of championship?
Yeah. It took me a while to get used to the speed.
I guess the very first time you surpassed 300 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And was it a practice run? Was it a?
And it's not even that. It's when you hit the parachutes and you feel the negative G's, you go, whoa, that tried to throw me forward way more than the last run. And then you realize when they tell you what it ran speed-wise, that's the difference. Because some runs, you're like, oh, that felt pretty fast. And then they show you afterwards, yeah, it was like 320. And you go, ooh, I knew when I hit the chutes, it jarred me forward. But we got 13 straps holding us in the car. So I've got 2 holding my head from the back, 2 in the front. So you hear it when they go ding, they're tethers and they're pretty strong. So when it throws you into those belts at negative 8 or 9 Gs, it was a pretty fast mile per hour.
So that was surprising to hear. You said it's like potentially up to 6 to take off.
Yeah.
But it's negative 8 or 9?
Negative 8 or 9, because 2 chutes come out. If they hit exactly.
And you
I
deploy
have a
those?
button on a wheel, on my steering wheel. And this is the funny part I tell people because they can't believe this. I hit the button probably 2 football fields before the finish line. Because by the time I hit the button, the air goes through the air system. It triggers the lever to let the chutes, and they have springs in them that pop out and pull the chute out. Pilot springs, they call them. I mean, that's a fraction of a second that happens. But by the time you do that, at 330, you're covering so much ground. Oh, yeah. Like I literally have to look out there and time it. And I'm hauling the mail too. Like I'm flying, and I have to sort of at the same time look out and go, okay, I think this is about time. And sure enough, by the time I do that, sometimes I think I hit it too soon, but I'm there. And then boom, the chute's hit, and you go, wow, that worked out pretty good. So it's a lot going on. And you have to, like you said, you have an internal clock when you get used to going 330 that you kind of know when things are coming. You kind of know how far to look out to do things important like parachutes.
Very important, yeah.
And some tracks are super short shutdown areas, so you really got to be on them.
Are there any, other than the chutes, are there like brakes like normal, or is there?
So when I sit in it, we're going to put you in my car sometime. But
hey, dangerous.
we won't make you drive it, but it's a handbrake. I don't have a conventional foot brake. I have a clutch pedal and a big gas pedal because when I hit the gas, I hit it as quick and hard as I can. And then my brake is a handbrake. So it's actually, I sit kind of up, and I have a handbrake here, and that's how I roll forward the stage, and so it's weird because you get in a normal car and
you're used to one or the other.
Handbrake.
So, and it's a brake like I remember, it's like like 3 things, right?
Yeah,
and that's what's
and it also has a fire bottle lever on the brake because when we do catch, that's the thing. It's not if you're going to catch fire. The funny car, it's like how many times. Because the engine's in front and they catch fire. That's what they do sometimes. But you have a fire lever. If I'm on fire, on my brake, I can pull that lever and it'll spray me and the engine with these massive fire bottles.
Fire stuff.
Retardant, and hopefully it puts the fire out.
Gosh.
Yeah. It's been knock on wood.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've had to do that, and I hope I don't this weekend.
Well, I have some questions that get into when it sounds like you've had situations that I'm excited to cover. But your brother's a stunt driver.
Yep.
And tell us about that. I mean, how different is his life than yours?
He's actually going to drive this weekend, in which we're racing, and it's cool because he hops in. He got asked for these people. They just built a brand new car, never had it out, and they asked him to come drive it. And then their son's going to get his license after the race on Monday. So it's like cool he got asked to do it.
His 16-year-old license?
The kid, I don't know how old he is. No, their kid, he's like, he might be 19 or 20.
Or is there like a separate license to drive?
Because he's driven slower cars, and so he has to work his way up. On Monday, he's got to make 4 upgrade runs, they call it. So from what he drove already, he's got to make these checkout runs like we just talked about, like incrementally going faster. He's got to try to do that. But they wanted to try to qualify the car, so they asked my brother to drive it. But my brother's been doing a lot of commercials that you see. My brother, like cars flying through the desert sideways in a new Infiniti or Mercedes or whatever commercial. He does a lot of that, a lot of movies. He was in Ford versus Ferrari. He was in the Ferrari movie. He was in Gran Turismo. It's pretty cool because he was in the Talladega Nights, believe it or not, a lot of that stunt driving. So he's been doing it a long time, and he's He's been in a lot of movies. He lives in Vegas, does a lot of traveling. So he might be the one person that I go, dude, you have a cooler job than me, because my job's pretty cool driving a funny car. But it's fun. We're competitive as hell. He's 5 years younger than me.
I was going to ask, what's the
Oh, yeah. We grew up racing anything we get our hands on. So
And he's in Vegas, so I mean, NHRA is pretty massive out there.
Yeah.
So do you guys get to see each other often? Or
we do, yeah. And I just hired his wife as our hospitality person
go.
in the team. So
keep it in the family?
yeah. And it's cool the fact that he's going to be driving somebody's car. It's not a real big sponsored car. It's a low budget car, but it's just cool that he's there, at the track, and he does all kinds of different racing. I mean, it's one weekend I'll talk to him and he's off racing something somewhere.
Well, that kind of goes into, you said there's a lot of different things you guys race and compete against. What is different and separates like a great drag racer from the other racers of, I know you said AJ Foyt, so whether it's IndyCar or what is the main difference between drag racers and other drivers?
I think the really good ones at one time have worked on their own cars. Like when I raced go-karts as a kid, my dad made us, my brother and I, work on them and made us build them, or we're not just gonna show up and drive them. I think you see that with a lot of drivers in NASCAR, IndyCar. The good ones are kids that grew up and actually knew how the car worked their way up, and mechanically knew what was going on. Tony Stewart's, guys like that. AJ Foyt, obviously Mario Andretti, the legends. Those guys, I mean, to race midgets and sprint cars back in the day with no roll cages like AJ and Mario did. And then like Mario went and won an F1 championship and even won Daytona in a NASCAR car. I mean, that's just crazy.
I didn't realize.
And AJ, I mean, those are the two of the best ever. So I think the difference, and the same thing in drag racing was where I was going. The good ones have worked on them. I grew up working on them.
That's why you like Maddie, right?
Yeah, and I was a crew guy before I ever got a chance to drive, but wanted to be a driver. Maddie is, her and her little sister build their dad's car and the car that she drives. So I think that's the difference in the okay drivers and the really good ones.
You mentioned, knock on wood, that things can go wrong. And it's been a while, but in 2014, you had an engine explode in the Winter Nationals.
Oh, yeah.
Did that
I think that's the first thing that pops up when you Google me.
Really?
Yeah, I think still today that is, yeah.
So it's memorable, it's significant. I mean, did this incident have any effect on your...
Well, it's the only time I probably will ever in my career be asked to go on the Oprah Winfrey show. Like that night after the explosion, it went on everywhere, right? Sure. And I remember my publicist is like, you won't believe this. It was Oprah and it was somebody else's talk show. It was pretty popular at the time. Like, I want you to be on tomorrow and fly in. I was like,
I barely survived.
Oh, Ellen. That's who it was, too. It was Ellen. I was like, wow. I go, I hate to be asked to be on for that reason.
Yeah.
But it made all the local, TV and news stations that night. I make that run. It blows up. It was on ESPN. I had an in-car camera. I was unconscious, and all the camera shows is the body blew off. So I'm coasting at still like 200-something miles an hour. And my hands, I'm unconscious, and the wind is holding my arms up. And you could see it in the video if you watch it. And then they get to me and they pull me out, the firemen. And the first thing I do is my crew guys had, by that time, got down there. They didn't know if I was dead or alive.
Oh, my God.
And I get out, and on camera, you hear me go, "What did it run?" And they said, "We're number one." I was like, "All right." But I'm like, cuckoo, cuckoo. I was fine. Yeah, I may have had a concussion, I don't know, but I felt fine, and we went out to dinner, and that's when, it was all over every news station and got asked to be on all these stations. But, yeah, it's funny because you Google my name, and that thing keeps popping up. So every time I see it, I'm like, ugh.
Oh, yeah. So did it affect you on the next races?
We won the race the next day.
Of course.
Came back, the guys put the car back together, brought the spare car out, and we won the race. That was a Saturday night that it happened. So that's one of those weekends it's rare, but it's like, holy cow.
That's why it's still on all the Google searches.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect your mentality. Check that question off.
Well, maybe it did, and I just don't know it. Or maybe I'm too dumb to know if it affected me.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
how do you prepare yourself and your family for the risk of drag racing? Like how do they prepare, or how do you prepare for, you know, such, it's probably a lot like fighting, but
Yeah,
how do you prepare?
good question. I don't know how my family watches, because you mentioned my brother. When I go to watch him, I'm a mess. I'm like leaning, and I'm way better in the car than I am outside watching. So I don't know. It's got to be tough for my wife and the kids, but they love it, and I'm sure it's hard on them. But you watch any of the telecasts, I always find my family in the grandstands, and we got a big, massive amount of friends and family that all hang together. So yeah, it's tough. It's a lifestyle, and that you got to get used to, the travel and all that. But the actual racing and them, because you never know what's going to happen. And I hate it when something happens like the explosion you talked about, and they have to watch it.
Oh yeah.
And I try to get out as quick as I can and wave my arms, and she knows that means I'm all right. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitious?
I always say I'm not superstitious, and I rattle off like 5 things I do before I get in the car every time. So yeah, but it's more because I've gotten in the car differently, or maybe walked around the other side and gotten in, and then I'm like, I won the last and I better get out and go the right way, or put the same glove on first. So there are things that I do, and it's more or less I'm just used to doing it that way.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then it's in my head. Then I'm up there trying to cut a light, and I got more stuff in my head than I should be.
And I'm sure there's so many system checks that you need to check off before you do something. And I would almost feel like some of that could be considered superstition, like making sure that you go through a certain checklist to make,
I do it a million times.
I'm sure.
Well, I overdo it. I check the lever and the forward and the fuel lever and this and my air system. And if you saw the in-car, I'm checking it like probably a million times.
Good.
But I feel like I have to.